Once there was a boy named Peter. Peter was not unkind, nor was he foolish. He did his chores, listened to his parents, and tried his best at school. Yet there was one thing about Peter that shaped his entire life. He was always in a hurry. When he sat in class, he stared at the clock, waiting for the bell to ring. When winter came, he longed for summer. When he was small, he wished to be tall. When he was young, he dreamed of being grown. The present moment never satisfied him. It was merely something to endure while he waited for what came next. "I just wish time would move faster," Peter often sighed, tapping his foot impatiently. One afternoon, while wandering through the deep woods behind his house, Peter kicked stones along the path and complained about how long it would take to finish his homework. As he pushed through a tangle of trees, he noticed something strange, a small, ancient cottage tucked away where none had ever been before. Curious, Peter stepped closer. Outside the cottage sat an old woman, bent but steady, spinning thread on a silver loom. The thread shimmered softly, catching the light like moonbeams. She looked up at Peter, her eyes calm and deep, as though they had watched centuries pass. "You seem restless, child," she said. Peter shrugged. "Life is slow. Everything takes too long. I want to skip ahead to be older, richer, happier." The woman studied him for a moment, then reached into a basket at her feet. She pulled out a small ball of golden thread, glowing warmly in her palm. "This," she said softly, "is the thread of your life. When time feels too slow, you may pull it. A small tug will make an hour pass in a heartbeat. A stronger pull will move days, months, even years. But listen carefully. Once you pull the thread, it can never be pushed back." Peter barely heard the warning. His heart raced with excitement as he took the glowing thread and ran home. The next day, his teacher droned on about history. Peter's eyes grew heavy. With a grin, he slipped his hand into his pocket and gave the thread a tiny pull. In an instant, the bell rang. Peter laughed. The magic was real. From that day forward, he used the thread whenever life bored him or became uncomfortable. He skipped long lessons, dull afternoons, and tedious chores. Waiting no longer existed for him. Years later, Peter fell in love with a young woman named Elise. She asked him to wait before they married, wanting time to finish her studies. To Peter, the thought of waiting felt unbearable. He pulled the thread harder than ever before. Suddenly, he stood at the altar, Elise beside him in white. He had skipped the longing, the quiet moments, the slow building of love, but he did not care. He had what he wanted. Whenever life grew difficult, Peter reached for the thread. When money was tight, he skipped the stress. When Elise became ill, he pulled the thread until her sickness passed. When their children cried through the night, he fast-forwarded to when they were grown. Years vanished in moments. Seasons flashed by like pages torn from a book. One day, Peter looked into a mirror and froze. An old man stared back at him. His hair was white, his face was lined, his body felt weak and tired. In his trembling hand lay what remained of the golden thread, only a few fragile inches. Fear flooded his heart. He tried to remember his life, but the memories were thin and broken. He could not recall his children's laughter, the warmth of summer days, or the comfort of standing beside his wife during hard times. He had avoided pain, but he had also avoided meaning. Desperate, Peter returned to the woods. His steps were slow, his breath short. The cottage still stood unchanged. The old woman still spun her loom.
"Please, take it back. I missed everything. I was afraid of boredom, afraid of struggle. I didn't know they were part of living."
Time can only move forward.
Peter wept. Darkness closed in. He opened his eyes. He was lying in the woods. His hands were small again. His body was young. In the distance, his mother called him home. Peter ran toward the sound, but then he stopped. He noticed a puddle reflecting the sky, a beetle crawling across a leaf, the cold wind brushing his face. For the first time, he did not rush past. He stood still. He breathed, he smiled.
"I'm here. I'm not skipping anymore."
And for the rest of his life, Peter never hurried again. He learned that life is not meant to be raced through, but lived moment by moment, knot by knot, thread by precious thread.